Yeah, there is a mercantilist logic to all of this if it's not held in check. And as we develop the frameworks, we need to keep that in mind. I want to go back to institutional design, and I know both of you have steered away a little bit from it because it gets into nuts and bolts, but would you comment a bit more on what a good institutional design would be to optimize the benefits of innovation? And I want to ask in particular your view, if you have one, on the, what do they call them, the super clusters. Mm-hmm. They've been in operation for a number of years now. They seem to be doing something like what you're talking about. Would either of you have a comment to offer?
Mr. Ciuriak, go ahead.
So thank you very much. First of all, I think in terms of business frameworks and legal frameworks, we have to distinguish competitive markets from which the market handles by itself very well. And we don't need to intervene very much. And that's why you have a rules-based system for that kind of business. When distinguish that from the area where you have economic rents, significant rents, the market does not allocate rent. Strategies do. It's very strategic. You have inevitably conflict. Airbus versus Boeing, Bombardier versus Embraer. When there are rents in place, then you need strategic behavior. So in the innovation space, it's inherently about rents, and it's inherently, therefore, about strategy. Now, in terms of the amount of money, well, as I say in my little background note, innovation has gotten a lot harder, a lot faster, and a lot more scale intensive. So we spend, what, a couple of $1 billion a year on superclusters? The Americans have got $280 billion for the CHIPS Act alone. So we are not operating at a scale that is even close to being competitive in this age of very difficult innovation. I have a chart in my background note about the declining efficiency of R&D. This is a phenomenon worldwide. It just takes a lot more resources now to push out the technology frontier. So the question of institutional design then comes down to a question of how does one strategize the capture of economic rents. And no, it is. You just you wind up writing your playbook as you go.
Mr. Fay, do you have a comment?
Yes, thank you. And a very interesting question, Senator Wu. Thank you. So maybe to follow up with what Dan's saying, we have these new business models that tend towards concentration. And we need to deal with that. And I've talked about, the importance of competition policy. But there are these externalities that arise, and I think that's what Dan was talking about. And when you have these externalities, it means that policy needs to come in. And so I think the superclusters are a way to try and get that agglomeration. Take a bunch of small firms, get them together, and maybe together they scale into something larger. I think. I'll be honest, I haven't followed the supercluster developments that much, but it's not clear to me in two areas. Do they have an IP strategy, which is something that we've talked about the importance of? And second, do they have an evaluation strategy? I know it's built into the documents, behind the formation that they should be evaluating what they're doing. To me, that's fundamentally important. What are they learning as they do this? When I think about innovation and I go back to the pandemic, another thing that doesn't cost us anything to do is to look at the firms that managed to pivot their production in the heart of the pandemic. How did they do that? Like, what did they bring together to do that and actually succeed? I haven't seen any work done on that. I'd like to do it myself, but that to me is where we can see innovation in action.
Yes, we are all waiting for the lessons learned part of that. Okay,